Hey everybody, it's Will from TIP. We help contractors make more for less. So if you're a contractor and maybe you're asking yourself, why am I paying so much for a CRM? Maybe you're not big enough to be able to afford one like a Visita, Jobber, Housecall Pro. I've got a solution for you, especially if you like Google Workspace. So I built a completely free CRM that also helps you with HR, business strategy, and again, it's completely free and downloadable through our website. So it includes a full-based CRM, and it's completely customizable for any one of the home service industries. Second, it has a quote calculator in there, and I'm going to be doing a demo here in just a minute. There's HR trackers to help you with personnel files, evaluators to do quarterly and annually. There are strategies to find the most profitable areas and services that you can provide to increase your profitability. There's a full login page. And then there's a branding page. So if you're looking for a free solution to help with your operations, your profitability, then let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at TIP's custom CRM. All right, so we're inside the all-in-one workspace CRM. Now, I want to put a caveat. This is great for Google Sheets. It's a lot harder to use as an Excel because remember, an Excel has different file formats. It's not a live document. You can't share it with other employees. So I built out a system that I think that will suffice a lot of your needs to run your business, and then you can access it from your computer, your tablet, or even your phone. Let's go through each one of the tabs really quickly, and then I'll dive deeper into each one of them. There is a monthly CRM so that you can track different aspects of your clients that you've sold to and the services you provide versus leads. There's an all-time list that has everybody that you've ever serviced. There's a quick quote calculator. There's an HR employee info page, and I'll get into that. There's employee actions. When they do good things and bad things, you can go ahead and sanction them or you can give them props for it. There's an HR training guide inside of it. There's how to find your most profitable cities, the logins page, and the branding page. So we're going to start with the general CRM page for this month. So when you look inside the Google Sheet, you can see, and you click these three lines, it goes down into hidden ones. So I've created a couple extra months for you. You can always rename. You can make duplicates inside, just like this. So I could make out, for example, April of 26. Now, the beauty of the system is it's completely customizable. So there are different views. All of this information is about a potential lead or a client. If I don't want to see that and I just want to see the commission, to which I'll talk about in a few minutes, I can go ahead and hit plus or minus to change my view. I can do the same thing if I don't want to see everything up at the top. I can just hit plus or minus to change my view. Now, everything in this document, along with this video, gives you a tip and trick with this tiny little black arrow up here. So if you need to edit the document inside a formula, follow this. You'll see that in a minute. Anything in a light yellow is going to be a formula, and I would highly suggest you don't even touch it. Okay? What does a pink cell mean? A pink cell means that I highly suggest that you put something in there so a formula works. Okay? And then when you put a number or some kind of comment or something inside that box, it's going to turn green and let you know you've done a good job. Okay? Anything blank like the names in here, quotes and information, that's just going to be white. Feel free to put anything you want in there. I'm also not just going to show you the features of this, but how to edit it. Okay? So for example, adding a row. If I want to add a row into anything, I click onto the number, I go ahead above and below, and then I'm usually going to take this and paste it back in here so all the formulas and all the drop-down options are the same. Okay? So this is a monthly CRM. So you get a lead that comes from your website or a referral or wherever it comes from. Maybe it's social media. What I want to do is put the first name, the last name, and then I'm going to go into the quote and the paid. Now, why do I want to track the quote and the paid? So the general rule of thumb, to get more reviews, more referrals, great 5-star Google reviews, which we all want, is you always overquote and underbill. Okay, when you do the opposite, what happens is, and you can see it right here in the little tips and tricks that I put throughout the document, if I was to get an estimate or a bid for $4,000 worth of work on my home, and at the end of the day, the full project cost me $6,000, I'm not giving you a review. I don't care how good you did. Okay, that's 90% of the public. Okay, so again, I'm not just giving you CRM, trying to give you quotes. and tips and tricks. So what we can do in here is let's go ahead and say that his name is Tom Jenkins. Okay, so I put Tom in here, then I tab, I go Jenkins, tab, and let's say I quoted him 3,500, but at the end of the day it was 4,200. It's going to tell me my sales process. So from this point, I can see that I'm underbidding this person. Okay, and likewise, let's go ahead and say it's Jan Smith, and I quoted her $4,000, but I only charged her $3,700. Now, I can see that I'm really close to what I'm offering and what's actually being invoiced. Up here, it's going to calculate. You can hover over this and see all quotes combined for the month, how much I've earned. And then it'll tell me, out of all my quotes, I've actually earned more. Okay, so you want to see a positive number in here. Okay, so in here, overall, I can see everything that I'm doing and then adjust my sales process. If I'm overbidding, okay, I'm in the positive. That's where I want to be. I want to be bidding 4,000 and then billing 3,700. Additionally, from an operational standpoint, that's good. Why? Because if I think it's going to take $5,000 to get the job done and I'm in and out at 4,700, it usually means I spent less time on the job too. Okay? So let's keep going. When I go into source, what does it tell me? Choose the drop down. So from here, I put in all of the possible answers it could be from all the marketing, and then we have employee or generated by you, and then I have ads in different colors. You want to switch any of this stuff? Feel free to do. Hit that little pencil. It opens this up, and you have the different sources over here. I can change the name. There's a caveat though, and it's the one that's right here. If you're going to change a name after hitting the pencil and changing the name or the color, what I want you to do is go into the formula. And if this was to change into website, I got to take the SEO. Now, it's the hardest thing about this entire CRM. If you have any issues, you can hire us for an hour. We go on a video call and I'll do all the edits for you. But I tried to make every tip and trick throughout here so that you could do all of this yourself. So again, just go ahead and choose them. Let's say it's a website. Let's say the next one was local maps, AI platform. You're asking the client or the prospect, hey, how'd you hear from me? These are going to populate in here. Okay, so if I change this and said no, it's actually from the website, you can see it populates. Okay, now we have a multiple selection drop down for services, and you can choose it. If you're not gutters, you're HVAC, you're plumbing, you can go ahead and switch these out. What I suggest is to put all of the services that you provided. So let's go ahead and say that those are the three that we did for Tom Jenkins, but for Jan Smith, we went all out. They had a tile roof. We had to do some fascia board, right? So from here, I can see all the services. Now, I'm not just recording what I've done for the customer. I'm helping myself prep for a 5-star review so they can mention all these things. I can do the walkthrough is a lot easier because I remember everything that we've done. And I'm also preparing for disputes and possible mechanics liens. So I then mention who was on site, right? I want to change the name of the people that were my technicians, installers, so on and so forth. I change them over here. So let's say that Tom and Bud did this one, and this was a bigger deal. We had to have the entire team, okay? Now I can remember. So if the client, if you hover over it, it gives you a tip and trick again. You can investigate, bad reviews, bad issues. If there's a shout out, you can ask them, well, hey, listen, do you remember who you talked to? Because Tom, Bud, Miguel, and Terry were there. I like to give shout outs and, pats on the back for people who do a great job. So I'm also preparing for disputes, right? Address is self-explanatory, city. So why do I always want the city within the CRM? So from a marketing perspective, if we're getting a lot of jobs from Austin, Texas, okay, then the question comes between me as your CSO and you as the owner, do we double down on Austin and totally saturate the market, or is it already saturated and we should look by nearby townships or other cities? Remember, you can only spend so much on ad budget, right? You guys have a certain amount you could spend every month. Well, should we funnel it more into Austin or a nearby city? You can do that by using this filter. Phone number, easy. Building type. So I can do commercial or residential. And then what I want to do is put the job start. So all I'm going to do is double click in here and say, for example, let's say go back a couple of months, September 1st, and let's go back and I completed it by September 2nd. So I want to see how long the job took. One, from a liability perspective. If the customer comes back and says, hey, it's the 7th of September, I noticed gashes on my sidewalls, I think you guys did it, I could say, hey, we took pictures, and I asked everybody, Tom and Bud were there, they took pictures with me, there was no damages, and you found it on the 7th, we were only there on the 1st and the 2nd. So you can resolve that. The other thing is you can resolve bad reviews. So if somebody puts a review out there, you can try to dispute it. We do that for our clients. Third, a mechanic's lien. So most states have a mechanic's lien. And what that means is if you have a $10,000 service, you've completed the service, but they don't pay you, you can report this to your counsel, your legal counsel, and they can file a mechanic's lien. It may be a different name in every different state, so don't quote me. But what that means is we are owed $10,000, and $10,000 of a lien is placed on the value of your home. If you want to get paid fast, all you have to do is a mechanic's lien. Problem is, once you get to that point, you can expect a bad review. But that's okay. I would rather get paid $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 and dispute a bad review than to be out a couple grand. Okay? So, again, all of the tips and tricks are right in through here. So now you're going to look at this. This is the bonus and commission structure. I highly suggest every business only look at 3 possible bonuses for an employee. More than that, it becomes very mucky and very hard to track. So, for example, what are you going to pay them to close a new client? What are you going to pay them for a review or a trainer? And you can change this name right in here along with these, okay? So from here, let's just go with 25, 25, and 100 bucks. The trainer who is training a brand new employee, if we mark them, they're going to get paid. All the formulas are up in here. So watch this. Let's say that on this job site, David closed it, John got the review, and Mary got the training for the new employee. And the next one, we did John, and nobody, okay? You see how the numbers changed here? This is how you can incentivize employees every single day. You can pay them out weekly, monthly, quarterly. I don't care. It's your business, right? You can also adjust this. So let's go ahead and say that it is 50. And for a review, let's keep it at 25, and let's say it's $150 a day or project to train someone. The numbers coordinate here. Now, if you want to change the names, again, it gets a little tricky. I have to go in here, I have to hit this number, and then I'll change it to Marcus. This will update as well. I'm going to then have to go in here and change the name of David in each one of these to Marcus. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to show you that's really cool is when I mark this as a pending, or I mark this review as below 5, I'm not scoring anybody. Nobody gets the money for that. But I can also then filter this and retarget those past customers to get a better review or to get my 5-star review. And that is the CRM system. It's very, very cool. So you're probably asking, okay, I completed December, what do I do next? Well, what I usually do is I go ahead and take the clients that I've done in December, I copy them, I go into the all-time, and I paste them. You can see I already did that in previous. But in here, then I do this for every month. And when I'm done with December, I hide it. Then I go into the next month, and I activate it, and I bring it forward. It's that simple. And I do the whole system over again. Okay? That's the CRM. Super easy. Again, use it from your computer, your tablet. You can utilize it from your phone as well. Now, phase 2 is the quote calculator. So I'm going to use gutters again, but you can use any industry that you want. And you can change the name of this. And the whole idea behind this is faster quotes, better proposals, and even adjustments in your contracts. Let me go ahead and explain. So you have removal of something. You have a haul away. You have a travel distance. The biggest companies, and this is your tip for this, the biggest companies don't charge per line item. They charge for a flat rate. They know what the cost is. So let's say it costs $100 to remove old gutters, $100 for downspouts. I don't know, right? You always want to mark up your services 200 to 400% because you have costs that are associated with materials, people, insurance, and more, right? This price right here is the MSRP, suggested price at least, right? you know that you're going to be billing per hour and your rate should be $250. You can mark something up at a different price. So maybe the removal of gutters is a higher risk, so I do $275. Okay, I'm going to charge $275 for that. The entire quote populates up here. So as you're asking questions on the call or prepping yourself, you could utilize this and say, hey, my estimate's $970. Again, I would overestimate the markup so the estimate or the bid is bigger, and then you can always apply a discount over here. So you can see the invoice. Maybe I want to discount it, right? I'm really lobbying for a great review because it's a historic building or a commercial job or something like that. It's totally up to you. Here's your final rate, folks. Okay? This is the quote calculator. It's totally customizable. Use it as you see fit. And then you can decide if your bid and your contract are going to do line item pricing or if it's going to be just listing everything that you do with the final price tag at the bottom. Let's now transition over into the HR perspective of this document. Now, I have the employee name over here, first and last. I can put titles. You can change the titles if you want to, okay? Now I have the level. You don't have to do this. If there's anything you don't like, you can just go ahead and highlight the entire column and delete it, okay? From here, I'm going to put their salary, right? And I can utilize this, like it says in the note, to evaluate the salary for all of my employees based on the titles that they're assigned with. I can look at a comparison to the market in general or my competitors, okay? The next is bonuses. And you're going to have to use the CRM system to find out how much you've truly paid, or your accountant can probably do that as well, your bookkeeper. That's a manual. But here's the thing. Now you need to include what the cost of this employee is beyond their salary. And we all know that health insurance, dental insurance, vision, it all incurs an additional cost. And that can range usually from 15 to 30%. So just ask your bookkeeper or your accountant, what's the average cost? This is what that employee truly costs. Isn't that cool, right? Now we have a double click into hire dates, their initial training date, maybe there's a license, okay? From here is nothing but a bunch of formulas to give you a really good sense of the value of that employee. And it includes the benefits. I just adjusted there for y'all. So for example, the average monthly salary, what are you paying? How long have they been with us? How many days is that, right? And if you look at this, you've almost paid $240,000 for this employee. So now when you do your evaluation of the employee, okay, and these are formulas with averages, I'll get to that in a second. If you were to look at what is their service knowledge, and you can edit these if you want to, okay? They started the year at 4, they ended at 5. Like, can they explain what they're doing to a customer, okay? Business knowledge. Are they helping the company grow? Do they understand territories, competitors, costs, the pricing, you know, like management level stuff? Maybe they're a 3 average, maybe they become a 4. This will help you understand who needs to be promoted. Again, you can change these. What is their in-field abilities as an installer, a technician, a removal, a haul away, whatever their job duty is? Average, they ended the year at 5, right? You can do the same thing for attendance and leadership. What this does, folks, is it gives you an average of how they progressed as an employee throughout the year, okay? What this does right here is at the end of the year, you can use this for additional bonuses however you want to. You know, maybe the top 3 employees get an additional bonus, whatever bonus, I don't care. It's your stats, it's your information, you decide what you want to do with it. The other thing is, if a person is asking for a promotion or a big raise, you can say, hey, yeah, you did grow from roughly around a 3.6 to a 4.8. That's amazing. But your overall annual contributions are 4.3. So people with a 4.5 or whatever number you feel is appropriate are the only individuals who either get a bonus or a promotion or a pay raise. See, with the numbers in the system, you can make the decision on how you pay your employees. Okay? That's the HR Employee Info tab. Now, anytime anything good or bad happens, go ahead and put the person's name in here, the date. I left these in here if you want to because this is going to be over the years. Then there's drop downs and you can change them. Hit the pencil, right? But what I can do is say, hey, it's an attendance or it's an infield skill. but then I can review a particular person. So if I filter it just to whim, I could say, hey, Barry, come on in. You had a pretty good year. The only thing that, I wanted to mention is you're always on time, which I love. And we gave you recognition for that. Sometimes you're even early. But remember back in November 7th when you got the ticket, it was bad PR for the company because they see the police pulling over our branded van or vehicle. Okay. So I'm really happy you're getting there on time. And early sometimes, but I just can't get any more. I'm going to have to take the vehicle away and find a different driver. Okay, so you can utilize this from an HR perspective. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and select all now. That's the HR employee actions. It helps you with your one-on-ones. If you have a new employee, put their name in here. Put the date that they did a particular type of training, right? So there may be 13 lines for Jim Jones. There may be 27. I don't know. It's your business, right? Who was the trainer? That helps you just record that information. And if I'm sitting down with the trainer, I say, okay, tell me about the type of training so-and-so, right? Okay, you guys completed it. Great. Okay, give me a synopsis. How well they did, right? And so these notes can both be about the person, but about the trainer as well. And then usually what I did over here in overall score is not the score of the employee, the score of the trainer. Remember, training means everything. But again, if you don't want to use the score, you don't have to. Now let's move on to cities. Okay, so this is great. So I live outside of Sparks, Nevada, and there are 3 major cities in here. There's a bunch of other ones that are close, but let's go ahead and say that these were the cities I wanted to focus on. And in Sparks, Reno, the first thing I'm going to do is find the population. So I look online and find the population. I do want to state that we do this for our clients. Then I'm going to find the average household income through a search. Then I'm going to say, well, it's approximately this far. So once I get done with this, if I hover over the rank, it says, how do I find and rank these cities on the population? I'm going to go to Z to A, 1, 2, 3. Now, if you have a lot of cities, you can just drag it down just like that, right? Now I'm going to go to income. Same thing, high to low or Z to A, 115 all the way down to 85. I got my rank in here. Distance is going to be the smallest to the biggest, or A to Z. Here, I now have the rank. Now what this does is it gives me an overall average. It takes these 3 as a sum, divides it by 3, and says my best 2 cities are Sparks and Reno. So now I know where to put my ad spend. Now I know where to put the billboards if I want to do any of this kind of stuff. Okay? The other thing it can do is services provided. So this is a multiple drop-in. Again, you want to change any of them, feel free to do so. But if I'm looking at the 2 major cities, I want all of my services marketed. But I don't want to market, for example, gutter cleaning or simple small plumbing and HVAC repairs to a city that is 20, 30 miles away. Because I'm going to have to charge $500 or $600 just to show up than the hours and services that I provide. You see what I mean? So this is how you, from an operational standpoint and marketing standpoint, can do that. You can do anything you want in comments. I just leave that blank. So again, this is how you find your most profitable cities. It's how you look at what services you provide as well as your paid ad budget. The last 2 are really simple. It has to do with Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. You can put all of your vendors and platforms, usernames. You can even describe yourself, what in the bloody hell is this company, security questions, security answers, and then, you can also edit this and put over what your monthly cost is if you want to, but I left it out. Again, this is your system. Use it as you see fit. The last one is, we usually do this for our clients, but, what is the branding of the company? What are your primary colors? Secondary, what's the name of them? What's the hex code? That way, if anything needs to be done on a flyer, business card, whatever, you just reference this really quickly. Bada boom, you have a new flyer, business card, business sign, vehicle wrap, or whatever. This is your fonts, really important. I hate to see it, and maybe it's just the designer and the marketing guy that I am. I hate to see when someone's website's in a Montserrat and then they have a Times New Roman in a flyer, or vice versa. Okay, people notice these things. They notice when things are fluid and they make sense. Okay. From the logos Over here, we always share a shared Google Drive folder. You can go ahead and, for example, all you do is right-click on anything. You can insert a link and then put in the link to that folder or that document. You do the same thing with additional links over here for business cards and all the marketing collateral. Okay, so that's the system, folks. Again, we have a full CRM for clients monthly as well as all time. We have the past months that we can keep in here. We have a way for you to track your bonus system, your commissions, whatever you want to call them. A quote calculator, employee personnel information and scoring system, employee actions, HR training guide, most profitable cities, login information, and branding. So if you guys found this useful, go ahead and click the link down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we really hope that this helps you take your business to the next level for less.